This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me, as always, is Mark Souza. We got a lot to talk about in the world of sports. We got some NBA news. The All-Star Game starters have been announced. And in the NFL, we got some Pro Bowl stuff to talk about, since that is this Sunday. And anything else that needs to be discussed, we will do in the final segment, as always. But first, the NBA's All-Star Game starters have been announced for the East and West side. But more importantly, the two captains have also been voted in. For the West, we have Steph, Kevin Durant, Harden, Paul George, and LeBron James is voted captain. For the first time, he's going to be on the West side in the All-Star Game. Mm-hmm. And on the East side, we got Kemba Walker, Joel Embiid, Giannis, Kyrie Irving, and Kawhi Leonard, with Giannis voted captain. Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you, do you agree with these starting lineups?
Yeah. I mean, I think Anthony Davis will feel like he was snubbed, but at the same time, Paul George made it over him, so it's like hard to pick either way. I think
I would have picked Anthony Davis personally.
Yeah, but George has a real argument for
absolutely.
what he's done this year.
He might even be right now Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, I understand Embiid, Giannis, and Kawhi, because those three are playing at an extremely high level right now. But Kyrie and Kemba are big question marks for me personally.
Who would you put over him?
See, that's the thing. There isn't a lot to go on when it comes to the Eastern Conference.
Kyle Lowry?
Maybe.
Ben Simmons? Bradley Beal?
I mean, maybe Bradley Beal, but that's just a huge maybe.
Yeah, I think it is what it is. I mean,
yeah, there's not a lot of. I hate to say this, but there's not a lot of talent on the east side of things compared to the West.
Yeah, the Western Conference clearly has the better players. When you're talking about the Western Conference having Anthony Davis as not a starter when he would probably be the best or second best player on the Eastern Conference team, that kind of says it in itself. I mean, Anthony Davis, you could argue, would be behind Kawhi, maybe Giannis, but other than that, he'd be at least the third best player in the East. In fact, I think Anthony Davis is the best player in the NBA, but I understand why he's not picked as a starter for the All-Star Game. Regardless, the Western Conference showing their mettle when you look at it based on that, but we'll see how these teams are picked, because we know that these aren't the teams. We just know they're the players.
And nothing. I'm taking nothing away from Kemba Walker. He is averaging 25 points a game, 5.7 assists, and shooting 43.6% from the field, which is extremely impressive. But I guess the team he's on just takes away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Yeah. And the two captains, I guess that's the top voting, is what I'm assuming the captains. Yeah. Giannis makes perfect sense to me, because in the East, he is in line he's one of the top contenders for MVP. And then you look at the West side, LeBron is the most popular choice. I got that. I understand why, because he's arguably the best player in the NBA. But James Harden, I feel like, should have gotten the nod for captain. But, oh well. I think LeBron is a fine choice for captain.
You're right. We'll see who they pick. It'll be interesting to see who.
Did
LeBron
you see
and
what
Giannis
Giannis
pick.
said? He wanted to make up for the. He wants Russell Westbrook and Joel Embiid to be on the same team and just have some love and try to make up for their spat.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that
he wants to bring
spat.
Joel Embiid and Russ Westbrook together, and he quoted and said it's all about love.
I didn't even know they had a thing.
Well, did you hear what? Well, Russell Westbrook was like, are you and Embiid cool? And he said F no after their game. Remember they had the little Russell and the tussle?
Russell and the tussle?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that there was a grudge. I've been
It's kind of the news is kind of blowing it out of proportion, but technically they do have a grudge.
Gotcha. So, all right. So we know the captains. We know the starters. We don't know which teams they'll be on. I guess.
You want to make a guess?
I mean, not really because I don't know.
All right. Who do you think is going to be picked first? I think Harden's going to be the first one picked. Overall, I guess.
I'm not sure. I would not pick Harden first if it was me.
Who would you pick first?
I'd probably pick Durant.
Okay.
If I was LeBron or Giannis, especially if I'm Giannis. If I'm Giannis, I'm looking for shooters big time, like the best shooters.
And James Harden is average.
Well, no, Harden's a good shooter, but
that's how it came out to
I
me.
I want somebody that passes the ball. Like I don't want it's an all-star team. It's an all-star team. Like we can all score, but I want to surround myself. If I'm Giannis, I want to surround myself with Durant, Curry, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be around guys who are lethal.
Kawhi might be taken early, too, honestly, if you're looking at that overall.
Yeah. I'd probably go Durant.
Can you imagine Giannis and Embiid on the same team?
I actually might go Curry if I was picking first, just because I'd like to start my team with a point guard like that.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things, if whoever you pick first is a quality player. I mean, it's the All-Star game. It's not like it's like, oh, that's a dumb first choice. Like, if you pick Curry, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Harden, yeah, that makes sense. LeBron or Kevin Durant, yeah, that makes sense. Paul George even makes sense, like you said. Like, you can't really go wrong in this situation.
Mm-hmm. What's a little bit unfortunate is that Oladipo won't be able to play in the All-Star game. He wouldn't have been a starter, but he would have been a reserve.
Yeah.
He's out for the season with that quad tendon tear, so unfortunately, and hopefully it's just one season.
It's a ruptured tendon tear, which I'm assuming is just like
only happened to two players, and one is Tony Parker, and he hasn't been the same, and the other one is Charles Barkley, and ended his career.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
It's a weird injury.
Yeah, and it's a very rare, like you said, it's a rare injury, and it's one of those things in where you look at it and say, you just hope he can walk and just be okay, let alone play again. Because I say walk because there's been a couple of leg injuries that have happened to players, not just in the NBA, that have had surgeries and had infections recently. There's been a recent case of infections after surgeries. And that just puts me in a worry at all.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fine. But it's the long-term effects. It's how he will recover athletically from this injury will be yet to be determined. But hopefully he'll be able to get back and healthy by the start of next season. If not, that could be crucial for the Pacers moving forward. But who do you think will make the team from the Western Conference as part of the reserves?
Obviously, I think Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis are obvious ones. Mm-hmm. As for the others, this is one of the deepest conferences.
Jokic has to be one.
Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to
Davis, Westbrook, and Jokic, I think, are your first three off the bench.
I don't think there's any question about that. But the bottom half is like where it gets interesting.
Damian Lillard? Need another guard. Need another point guard.
I'm trying to think like it's an interesting one.
If it wasn't Lillard, who would it be?
That's what I'm trying to think of. I know there's a lot of other talented guards out there. I might have to go Lillard. You're probably right on that. I'm just trying to think of any others.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot.
A lot of the talent comes from the front court,
Like,
not
it's
the back
not
court.
Conley. It's not anybody on the Clippers. It's not anyone on the Lakers. It's not anyone. Maybe, I mean, I guess Jamal Murray could be considered for the Nuggets, but probably not. Yeah, it has to be Lillard.
Derrick Rose probably.
Yeah, I'd probably put Fox in over Rose if we were being honest.
It's more. I think it's more like.
But he did get a lot of votes.
He got the second most, right? Out of guard.
He got a lot.
Yeah, he got him. He got in the millions. So.
I'm not putting 2 Timberwolves in there. That's for sure. Karl Anthony Towns, I think, is going to make the team. It would be insane if Rose made it and Karl Anthony Towns, in my opinion, but who knows?
Yeah, it makes sense. Would you put Klay Thompson in one of the guards reserves?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I say. It's so deep, and even DeMar DeRozan.
That's who my 3 guards would be: Lillard, Westbrook, Thompson.
But you can't leave it it's hard. And then DeMar DeRozan's having a great season himself.
Yeah, he can't get in though.
I don't. And then there's Devin Booker, who I think deserves a little more credit.
He's been hurt a lot.
Yeah, but he's had some amazing games.
That may be true, but Lillard, Westbrook, Clay, they have to be your next 3. They just have to be. Anthony Davis at forward, Jokic at forward, probably Karl Anthony Towns, maybe Rudy Gobert would be the last spot.
Kuzma's been getting a lot of votes himself.
That's not happening.
Just saying.
Yeah, but we can't go. You can't just go off of fan voting. That means very little in this whole process. It's 25% of the actual voting. Like Kyle Kuzma's not making the All-Star team. Mm-hmm. LaMarcus Aldridge.
I'm just saying his what's it called? His fan voting is a lot. I'm just saying.
I think if any one of these players, I think Rudy Gobert might not make it, and I think Luka Doncic would make it over him. To be honest with you,
Luka's making it,
but right now he's probably on the outside looking in
because of the. Yeah, you're right, and it's because of the fact, like we said, it's so deep.
He could make the last spot, but that's what he'll get is the last spot. So we'll see.
Doesn't he have one of the top 3 in voting?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Tobias Harris is in consideration. Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, LaMarcus Aldridge.
I don't see Mike Conley. Honestly, I think he'll get snubbed.
Yeah, I think my reserves in the West are going to be Lillard, Westbrook, Thompson, Davis, Jokic, Towns, Luka Doncic. That's my Western Conference team.
Yeah, it's pretty good in that factor. And yeah,
would you agree, or would you replace anybody?
I might replace Lillard with someone, but it's
so would it be Donovan Mitchell?
I was thinking him, since he's kind of on a rise again, but he's been on a little bit of he was on a little bit of the slump at the beginning of the year, so that gives me a question mark. It's very difficult, but you said the others you said were Thompson and Westbrook, correct? Mm-hmm. I might have to.
Clay's in there.
Yeah, Clay and Westbrook, I completely agree with. Derrick Rose, I might consider, and even DeMar DeRozan, I honestly prefer, because DeMar DeRozan's had a great season.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not taking anything away from him. He's been on a man with a death wish almost after leaving the Toronto Raptors, and I know he can't.
If it wasn't for Lillard, though, that Portland team would be nothing.
True, very true.
Like literally nothing.
I'm taking nothing away from Lillard. I'm just saying, DeRozan. I know Popovich is a great coach, but just going to a new team and still playing at that high level.
I'm just not sure that. I'm not sure that DeMar is their best player.
I know Aldridge is probably their best player.
That's the thing. It's like Lillard is Portland. Like if they didn't have Lillard, that team would probably be the worst team in the NBA, in my opinion.
That's debatable.
CJ McCollum is not that good. Jerkic is okay. I think he's a decent player.
I'm just saying, what we said before is the Raptors may have one of the deepest teams in basketball, and that was even from last year. And then DeRozan goes to a team with not that depth as he had in Toronto, and he's still playing at a high level, and he became more of...
Yeah, he's good.
Tries to be more... He has to be more of a top guy than he had to be in Toronto, and he's delivered.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately for him, he moves to the East or the West because if he was in the East, he would have made it.
Oh, no question, he would have made it. But
he probably would have started.
I think he made a great transition.
To be honest with you, he could be a starter.
Absolutely.
If he was in the East, he'd probably start.
I put him over Kemba.
Yeah, because
would you put him over Kyrie or Kemba? Which one do you
probably
choose?
Kemba, just because maybe Kyrie actually. But the East is kind of playing 2-point guards because they don't really have like a 2-guard, and DeMar would be the best 2-guard.
Absolutely.
So.
It's just you're in the West, which is the deepest and most talented team, so it's just hard to.
So let's look at the Eastern Conference.
This is going to be interesting.
The reserves for the East.
Yikes.
Bradley Beal, Kyle Lowry. Oladipo would be one of them, but he'll be out. Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler, yes.
Blake Griffin has to be.
Oh yeah, he's had a tremendous. He has a tremendous.
Then it gets interesting.
Yes,
Vucevic for the Magic could be in there. He's really good.
I know, but
Middleton could be in there. D'Angelo Russell, Pascal Siakam could definitely be in there.
Oh yeah, I've liked him over the Siakam's been playing very well.
Siakam is good. It would be interesting though because it would be their third. It would be the Raptors' third player in there.
But that's how good they are, though. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's regardless of what team you're on.
I think they should replace Oladipo with D'Angelo Russell. If I'm being quite honest with you, because
he's had a good string of games lately.
He has been, having like the last month and a half or so. He's been so good, and the Nets are a surprising team. They're one of the better storylines. I think they deserve to have one All-Star from that group of players. Mm-hmm. I'd give the edge to him over Siakam because the Raptors have 2 in already. And D'Angelo Russell's just like carrying that team right now. Not that he's the only one, but he's the big one. He's a player that's really helped them go on this run where they've not only gotten into a winning record, but they're actually 6th in the Eastern Conference. So if the playoffs started today, they would be your 6th team.
But I also have to ask you, with this being Dwayne Wade's final season, do you think he gets in?
I don't think he should be in, personally. I get the fan vote part, but I don't see rewarding a guy who's been an All-Star for a long, long time just because of the legacy over, like, if he was still playing at All-Star level, there's no question. But he's not. And I think for another guy to get snubbed for that, it's a really big deal to make an All-Star team. And another thing, too, is that, like, people make money off of this stuff. Like, when you tell somebody you're not making the All-Star team because we're going to get Dwayne Wade, then D'Angelo Russell, for example, still never been to an All-Star game. You know what I mean? Like, he deserves it. He deserves it more than Wade. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm just not all about the, like, emotional, like, legacy tour type stuff. Like, what does Dirk Nowitzki get into? You know what I mean? Like,
well, this is probably not his
he's
last
in the
year,
3-point contest.
Makes sense.
It's funny that he's in that.
Well, that's what he was known for at a younger age.
I mean, I don't know if you'd.
I know, like
Kobe
Bryant's song, like he was still playing at a high level, but
I know that the 3-point contest is going to have Curry, Clay, Buddy Hield, Dirk Nowitzki are the 4 that I know.
And we always say, like, slam dunk contest.
And I think Curry's going to win because the All-Star game is where?
Charlotte, his home, yeah.
He's big favorite to win the 3-point contest.
Shocker. Anyways, and then you know what's really been disappointing me over the last couple of seasons is the slam dunk contest.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of no names in that recently. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of the old hype.
Like Vince
I'm
Carter,
not gonna lie though, man. I'm not a big dunk contest guy. I just think it's like kind of lame.
You're lame.
I mean, they just do the same dunks, and it's like who can do it slightly better. You know what I mean? Like it's.
I want to see a guy do it between the legs twice.
See, like if somebody did that, that's different. But like, is there really a dunk that people do that you've never seen before? Like it's.
Well, that's why you got. That's why you got to watch the dunk contest because sometimes you see that.
When you watch a dunk contest now, you see more misses than awesome dunks. You know, you see more failed attempts than wow, that was one of the coolest dunks I've ever
Well, because
seen.
they tried something different also, and that's what. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of lame.
Yes,
It's
and the
just-
3-point contest is exhilarating. Seeing a guy just keep shooting.
It is because of the competition factor when it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And when a guy gets hot in a 3-point contest, that is like exciting. That's fun. When a guy's like nailing 12, 13, 14 in a row and it's like, dude, this guy is just a machine. I find that very interesting. I don't know.
It just, to me, it's like he's wide open, and it's like practice.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they're both like a practice.
It's a competition factor. I mean, it's kind of like the home run derby.
I feel like the home run derby is different because those balls get crushed, and it's just like, holy crap.
But like my favorite part of the home run derby is not how far they hit it. It's like when they get on the roll, when it's like 4, 5, and they're like, it's just like, dude, this guy is in the zone right now.
I guess I never really thought of I always thought the home run derby was like the slam dunk contest, just based off power and just flash. Mm-hmm. It's not like base. It's like 3-pointers are always like a double or something like that to me, or a triple. It's like there's never been a double contest or a double
Maybe
derby.
they should change the 3-point contest where they add a 4-point line.
I would watch that.
Where they get one extra rack, like they add like 10 seconds and they get one extra rack all behind the 4-point, whatever that is.
No, make it 3, like a couple threes and then a couple 4s and then half court.
That would be fun.
Would you like have like the final hour being a half court and like double the points?
I like when they had that. What was that competition they have where they have the NBA player, the WNBA player?
I love that.
Yeah.
I forget what it was
See,
called.
that's cool. Where they do like the different shot and then they end with the half court shot. They do the different.
And it's
skills.
like each one's different amount of points. And I remember that. I used to like that a lot.
Yeah.
It was a Hall of Fame player from that team,
A current player.
and WNBA player in that city,
Yes.
and an NBA player, which
like that.
which also left out a lot of other teams.
Yes,
Because
not every city has a WNBA team.
and
right?
I think there's less WNBA teams.
And there's WNBA teams in cities that aren't represented in the NBA.
Yeah, so they both get snubbed. But again, it's also a fun thing. Like Los Angeles gets a huge Hall of Famer, a very famous WNBA
like Magic
player.
or something like that.
I'm pretty sure they had like Lisa Sparks, Kobe Bryant, and someone else at one point, like Magic. I don't think Magic Johnson, but it was like
James Worthy or something.
something like that. Yeah, something cool. I always liked that. I don't know why they got rid of it.
All right, we should take a break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Come back. We'll talk a little NFL, some news around the league. Chiefs have a new defensive coordinator, and we'll get into a little bit of the Pro Bowl talk. It's kind of like All-Star Week, Pro Bowl weekend.
Yes.
This time of year. We'll talk about that. I'm not sure if anybody's watching it, but we will discuss it for sure.
But I wanted to talk about something first. Because when investing and planning for your retirement, it's always best to get advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says the dark window is open. There's an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings before the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain in just a few short months. According to the research of renowned Harvard economist Harry Dent, through the window could slam shut later this year, and nobody on Wall Street is expecting it. This dark window is something bigger by far than anything he's ever predicted up to this point. And you could make 10 times the annual average stock market gain. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com. There is a very short time to take advantage of this dark window. So please go to www.harrydentforecast.com to learn more.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We just finished talking about the NBA All-Star Game. Now it's time to talk about the NFL Pro Bowl, which is basically the NFL All-Star Game. Do you know why they call it the Pro Bowl and not the All-Star Game?
Why?
No, I'm honestly asking.
No, I don't.
That's an interesting question.
Because Super Bowl, Pro Bowl, I don't know.
I don't know.
Bowl games in
asking
the
you.
NFL or in college football, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Pro Bowl is this weekend. Yay, Pro Bowl. Are you excited?
Oh, you hear my excitement?
I like the skills challenge stuff, but I'm not really a big Pro Bowl guy. I might watch it if it's on, if I'm not training. So we'll see.
Training, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm honestly surprised a lot of players don't back out of this as much as they used to.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, yeah, we'll see what happens in the Pro Bowl. But yeah, it is what it is. I don't really want to talk too much.
Well,
about
there was talk before that this was going to be dropped completely.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't too long ago. Did you like the format of two legends drafting players, or do you prefer AFC and NFC?
I mean, we see it in the NBA too, right? Like, that's just kind of what they're doing nowadays to spark some interest where they do the draft.
Mm-hmm. True.
I don't know, man. It is what it is. I'm not going to say it raised my personal excitement level over what it was before. Just like the whole NBA All-Star game doesn't really raise my interest level more just because they do it in a draft format. But I can see why some people would think it's fun, would enjoy that aspect of it. But anyways, the skills challenge I find more appealing. I think they should do that more.
Did you see Adam Thielen and his catching?
I did.
Unreal, dude.
I saw Adam Thielen, his quarterbacking skills, and Russell Wilson getting really excited about it. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought the dodgeball was fun. I have only seen the highlights, though, so I haven't been able to watch it. But I actually will go back and watch the skills challenge. That is something that I will take a look at.
There's a lot of there's a lot of fun to be had. Why is it in Orlando? Is there a reason?
I don't know. They moved it from Hawaii.
I liked Hawaii a lot better. I thought that'd be like.
I
cool
think
vacation.
as a player, I'd like Hawaii more. You know.
Yeah, me too.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's like whatever.
Anyways, let's move on to real football news. The Bears are planning on working out 6 to 7 kickers.
What?
Are you surprised?
That's a lot of kickers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised a little bit because that's a lot of kickers.
Yeah, but the fact is that they're looking to replace Cody Parkey.
Oh, obviously, but 7 just sounds like they really don't want to mess this up again or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it. I feel bad for Parkey because, he did make the first. Didn't they call a timeout and he made the first one? Or was that? Yeah. So he technically did make it. They just didn't count it.
You're right.
I feel like that's the worst. Have you ever seen that one? Like, I seen the kicker when do you remember? I forget when it was when Jason Garrett iced his own kicker.
Yes.
And he missed it. It's like, what are you doing?
So the Saints, Benjamin Watson blasted Roger Goodell for his silence regarding the Saints being screwed, I guess, by the referees. He basically said in a social media post that, it's his duty to say something, not to hide and not say anything at all. What do you think about Benjamin Watson's stance that Roger Goodell should, I don't know, be held a little bit more accountable and have a little bit more integrity for the position as president of or commissioner of the NFL? What do you think about that?
Oh, I completely agree. I've never been the biggest
Goodell guy?
Yeah, and it's one of those things in where he's been mainly just affecting a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? He's been trying to like really clamped down on a lot of different things and finding a lot of guys unnecessarily. And there is just a point in where I say, maybe you should really be accountable for a lot of the problems that the NBA is having. Or NFL is having, excuse me. I don't know why I said NBA. Mm-hmm. But there's just so many problems. And do you know the other commissioners when they went on to the NFL draft, like when they go onto the stage to announce it, they were never booed, not once. I don't remember them being booed ever. And yet this last draft, this guy is booed so badly in AT&T Stadium you cannot hear him talk. If a commissioner is doing his job, he should not be in the spotlight. Do you agree with that? It's like the refs. If you're not talked about, you're doing your job right.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know about that. I don't agree. I think Adam Silver is doing a great job, and everybody knows who he is.
But they don't talk about him as much as they talk about Goodell.
Yeah, but NFL is also a lot more popular than NBA as well. That's another aspect.
I'm just saying that if you're talked about as much as if Roger Goodell is talked, I feel like there's going to be more issues than positives. We never really talk about how amazing.
I think Roger Goodell has a lot of negative feedback. I'm not defending him, but I don't agree with the point that we won't know who the commissioner is because if they're doing a good job.
I'm not saying we don't know who the commissioner is. I'm saying he's not in the topic of conversation constantly. Adam Silver's not the topic of conversation constantly.
You have to give credit to it being a different sport. Like, you have to do that. Plus, Jeff, the NFL has 1 million times more players than the NBA, and a lot of athletes get in trouble. So it's like the NFL is always in the spotlight because of domestic violence, because of DUI, because of failing drug tests. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's not fair to
compare
the NFL to every other sport because it's definitely different. Like, it's definitely its own thing, you know?
Yeah, but still, Roger Goodell has made some very questionable decisions.
Agreed.
Which have honestly cost some teams some games in hindsight.
The NFL is also booming in business, too. You know what I mean? Like, it's never been this successful. So it's like...
Well, I think that was going to happen regardless. It's just how it's worked. It's just the way things work.
That's probably true. But, I mean, you got to, look at it from both sides. You got to give credit and negative. And
give me more negative than credit.
It's not easy to be the commissioner of the NFL in terms of how you're going to be viewed. Everybody's going to be upset. And there is no league more scrutinized than the NFL. We watch this league 12 months a year. We talk about the draft. We talk about free agency. We talk about training camp. We talk about OTAs. What other sport has this kind of coverage? None.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not. Maybe the NBA is a little bit more talked about than Major League Baseball.
Well, baseball is proving why we don't talk about it as much because nothing is happening.
Even spring training in baseball is like it's a cool thing to do, to go
it's
to.
It's a month long of preseason. Like, who's gonna watch a month long of preseason?
It's like a cool thing to go to, but nobody's really watching spring training unless it's on in the middle of the day and
you're bored.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
You wake up in the morning. Oh, spring training's on. And nothing else is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm watching spring training. But NFL preseason, there's only 4 weeks.
Why don't we talk about another kicker, Greg Zuerlein? He's in a walking boot.
That sucks.
Is that a problem?
Is it his kicking foot or his planting foot?
His plant foot.
That is more of a problem than your kicking foot, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have a good plant foot, you can't kick that very far.
Sean McVay says he looked fine the other day.
Well, of course he's going to say that. He's not going to say, we're worried about him. Why would you say that publicly? You can't put any doubts in people's mind, especially when the...
Well, he was apparently his injury he suffered before that game or during the game. So what he was saying is that he'll be fine next weekend at the Super Bowl because it's not that big of a deal. He's in a walking boot, more of a precautionary.
He did kick a 57-yard field goal to get him to the Super Bowl.
That thing is probably still in the air. If there was no net there, it'd still be going. He booted that thing. That was good from 75. That was dead center and halfway up the uprights.
Honestly, maybe even hit 80. That thing was beautiful.
It was dead center and about halfway up the uprights. That is one heck of a kick.
Yeah, it was... I think it made him into one of the best kickers in the NFL just by one kick alone. That was ridiculous.
The Chiefs have hired Steve Spagnuolo to be their new defensive coordinator.
Smart, very smart. I think he's one of the best defensive minds in the league. So I think it's a genius move by them, and I think they can only get better from here. Because all they needed was more improvement on the defensive side, and Dee Ford not being offsides by about 4 feet. And they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, if the
Ford.
Chiefs can invest maybe free agency and the draft, if they can focus on that defense, it could really help.
And knowing where the line of scrimmage is. Not letting that go. Because that was the interception at that end of the game. That should have been game over. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like he was...
You know that Spagnuolo didn't coach this last year?
Yes, this is true, but I mean...
That's interesting. I wonder why nobody picked him up.
Arians hasn't coached for a year either, so...
Do you know that Steve Spagnuolo's head coaching record is pretty much Hugh Jackson's? 11-41. I know that he's not being hired to be the head coach, but I think that's funny. How do you win 11 out of 52 games as a head coach?
Interesting. Good point.
It is interesting, though, that he didn't coach this year. Do you think it was because nobody wanted him? Does that raise some concerns?
No, because he has a good track record of this kind of the defense.
He has won a Super Bowl as a defense coordinator.
He's just I'd be hesitant to hire him as a head coach.
Yeah,
because he has a good track record there. But as a defense coordinator, he's a great addition.
Gotcha. All right, what do you say we take a break? We come back. We got more NFL news, including Cam Newton. We can definitely talk about Joe Montana's new business ventures, and of course Antonio Brown not letting this trade thing go. We'll talk about that, the latest in the Antonio Brown saga, when we return. But before we do that and head to break, I want to talk to you about investing and planning for your retirement. It's always best to get advice from the experts. Best-selling author Harry Dent, America's #1 economist, says the dark window is open. There's an opportunity to rapidly boost your retirement savings before the greatest stock market crash in American history. But this dark window won't be open for long. You can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain in just a few short months, according to the research of renowned Harvard economist Harry Dent. Though this window could slam shut later this year, and nobody on Wall Street is expecting it. The dark window is something bigger by far than anything he's predicted up to this point, and you can make 10 times the annual average stock market gain. Find out more by going to www.harrydentforecast.com. There's a very short time to take advantage of this dark window, so go to www.harrydentforecast.com to learn.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We just finished on with some NFL stuff as well as NBA, the All-Star Game in particular. Now we're moving on to other things involving sports. As Joe Montana We'll just do this one real quick. Joe Montana has put investment into a marijuana industry, in the marijuana industry, which is, I don't know why that's so interesting to me. I don't know. It just seems like I don't see Joe Montana as a marijuana
Really?
guy.
I feel like he's like the most likely one.
Because he's Joe Cool.
Yeah. I mean, he's just like very California, you know? Joe Cool. Always been that kind of hippie-ish.
So you think he was
guy.
think he was smoking weed during like his Super Bowl drives? Obviously not, but
I mean, the dude is known for having ice in his veins, right? He's known for being calm, cool.
Now
and
it just
collected.
sounds bad.
So yeah, San Jose, California-based group. He invested in called Caliva. So we will see what happens. Part of it, he's part of a $75 million investment.
Yeah, one of the websites that show the ad with the story of this is him with Marshawn Lynch, and that's just, I'm like, oh, that's just interesting to call him out like that, just to say that Marshawn Lynch also is like that guy.
I mean, Marshawn Lynch will be the first one to tell you.
Yeah, but I just thought it was like, we don't even know if he's part of that or part of that, but whatever, right?
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about Cam Newton. He went under the scope the other day. Arthroscopic surgery on his shoulder.
Yes.
Very concerning if you're a Panthers fan. I don't know if he plays this year. I would be very, very cautious if I was the Panthers. What do you think about that?
I agree with you. It's a very, it's one of those things in where you can't rush this guy because you could destroy him, like career-wise, you know? And it's one of those things you can't just if Cam Newton returns, there's gonna be like if he returns too early, that could be bad. That could lead to more serious injury, no? Mm-hmm. So why not have him rest for, like they were talking about having him rest for the rest of the next season? Why not and have him come back better than ever? Remember Peyton Manning skipped a year with his neck injury, and what do you know? He threw 55 touchdown passes.
I think I would draft a quarterback, maybe in the first round.
Are you thinking like Kyler Murray, or are you thinking...
Maybe.
Really?
Cam Newton,
So you're not...
after this season, has one more year on his contract, $18 million after this year. So
Okay.
this year he's scheduled $16 million. 2020, $18 million. I think you could draft a quarterback. You got to think about the future, right? Is Cam Newton going to be your quarterback in 3 or 4 years?
Maybe, probably not.
The way that he takes hits, the way that his body has been breaking down, this is now the second shoulder surgery in 3 years for him. I think you have to protect your franchise. I think it might be smart to take a quarterback. I don't know. Obviously, they have other needs, but they have decent young receivers. They have a good running back. They have some decent defensive players. Of course, they could use upgrades at certain spots.
Well, I mean, they did start the season 6-2, but they did lose.
They could upgrade at a lot of spots. Offensive line, defensive line, secondary. Those are places they can use upgrades. Also, linebacking core. Luke Kuechly, always injured. Thomas Davis, about to retire if he doesn't retire this year. Like, he's an older player.
So it's time to start rebuilding, and with rebuilding, you got to get a quarterback first.
I just think, like, what's the worst that can happen if they draft a quarterback who's good in the first round? Like, if they drafted Kyler Murray or Haskins, for example. So what if that kid comes in and plays really well, and Cam can't play this year?
But you just said they have a lot of defensive problems on the injury department.
No, they could absolutely use another player. I'm not saying this team is like only needs a quarterback,
right?
But
they need a lot more.
The fact of the matter is, Jeff, is that quarterback is the most important.
Would you
position.
go for a quarterback in free agency rather than draft?
See, I wouldn't, because free agency quarterbacks are going to be way more expensive, and that's why if you take a quarterback in the first round, it's cheap, and you can trade him if Cam Newton comes back. You can trade Cam Newton. Like, it gives your team flexibility, and it builds for the future and possibly the short term as well. It's an option, man. I think it's something Carolina could think about. And I'll give you another fact. Carolina has a new owner. This owner, he didn't draft Cam Newton. He didn't pay Cam Newton. I don't know how he feels about Cam Newton, to be honest with you.
This is true.
I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe he has a dartboard with Cam Newton's face on it. Who knows?
I'm not saying that'll happen. I just don't think it's the craziest idea. I think I could welcome that argument. I could see why they would do that on draft day. I know some people would be shocked on draft day if that happened. I wouldn't be. I don't know. We'll see. Antonio Brown. Latest Instagram post shows him in a 49ers jersey. This is by him. This is his official account.
Someone else. This is someone else's Photoshop, obviously. But
he
posted it himself. He
published it, right?
I can show you and I can't show you.
So it's him in a 49ers uniform, with Jerry Rice, hugging Jerry Rice, and his quotation on it was, "When the GOAT embrace you." Mm-hmm. So it almost sounds like he's pushing for it. Maybe not pushing for it, but he's like, I could stir some things up and maybe get the 49ers to push for me. Like maybe he's trying to get the 49ers to go after him. It is really weird that he's like kind of campaigning to be on one team when he's not a free agent. Like I don't really understand it.
I don't know. It's interesting. I think he knows that his time with the Steelers is over.
Yeah, but what is he doing? Like, why is he doing that?
I mean, if you got to ask to be traded,
I don't think it's very smart of him, to be honest with you. But
yes, and Antonio Brown has done so many things when he's considered what everyone else thinks about it. Man doesn't care. Flies in on a helicopter to practice. The man does not care what other people think. And if he wants to go on one team, he's going to make sure he gets on that team one way, shape, or form.
I mean, he doesn't have a say.
I know, but he's going to try to push for it as hard as he can. Mm-hmm. So he's going to try to make it happen as much as his power will let him. And, of course, if he goes to another team, he can always say, you know what, release me. Because he can be that obnoxious.
This isn't the NBA, though. Like, he's not campaigning to be on one team. He'll play with whoever trades for him, period. Mm-hmm. Release me, that's not going to happen. No team's going to trade for him if he has that attitude anyway. So
unless he's the 49ers.
Yeah.
But it sounds like
Antonio Brown's a great player.
It feels like it's going that way.
Antonio Brown's a great player, but what he's doing is kind of idiotic. So,
well, maybe you're idiotic. I'm just kidding. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know what he's thinking, to be honest. Maybe he's just trying to. Maybe honestly, he doesn't care where he goes, and he's just trying to stir up the pot, get people talking about him. Probably where that's going, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I think it's just honestly what he is. Just want people talking about him. So he's winning at the moment. He's winning right now because
it is weird. It is weird that he is campaigning to go to a team that
you don't know if he's actually. He never said he wanted to go to the 49ers.
Well, he's obviously campaigning to do it. Like he's obviously flirting with the idea. He's not shying away. That's for sure.
Yes, Antonio Brown is known for shying away.
He is definitely looking to join the 49ers. It appears. The thing is that. It is interesting that he would want to go there and not, I don't know, maybe go somewhere else that has a better track record recently.
They're on the team up and up, though. It's not like
they are picking number 2 in the draft.
And they also have a bunch of guys returning from injury, and they had some great rookie performances last year.
But they have a lot of unknowns, too. Like, they don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo can play 16 games. They don't know if he's good. They don't know if... I don't know, the defense can be decent. They don't know they don't know a lot of things. His situation in Pittsburgh is obviously a little bit better than what's going on in San Francisco at this point. And there's other teams that are more on the up and up.
There is also talk about an ex-Steeler that is anonymous that said Tomlin, quote, tolerates him because of his talent.
It's probably Emmanuel Sanders.
Really? Yeah, probably. But it's one of those things, and it just sounds like the relationship between Mike Tomlin and Antonio Brown was going to blow up sooner or later.
I just wonder why he's not campaigning to go to, like, Indianapolis or, I don't know, the Bears or, like, there's other teams on the up and up that are maybe on the more the up and up than the 49ers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand that. And there's a lot of teams up and up rather than the 49ers. I get that. But I think it's more along the lines of it's his choice. Whatever he thinks makes sense for him, all the power to him.
Right. So we'll see where they get traded.
There was also talk of him trading with Jerry Rice on the infamous hill that he was always training at. So I think it's more lines of just working out with Jerry Rice rather than being on the 49ers. Mm-hmm. Or just...
I wonder if he knows that Jerry Rice isn't currently on the 49ers.
But Jerry Rice has connections to the 49ers.
I realize that, but
You don't think if he called like John Lynch said, make a trade for Antonio Brown, that John Lynch wouldn't say, okay?
John Lynch would say the obvious. Of course we want to trade for Antonio Brown, but we're not giving up the number 2 pick in the draft for Antonio Brown.
If anything, they would give up next year's first.
I mean, we don't know what the price will be.
They would push for a playoff spot for next, because we've seen teams trade for a first-round pick in like the Cowboys and Bears this season, and we all thought that was stupid.
Every team wants to trade for Antonio Brown. It's about the price tag. It's what are you willing to give up for Antonio Brown.
I'm just bringing up the point that teams have traded for first-round picks and gotten a playoff spot out of it recently with Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack, and who knows, it could, because people thought no way the Cowboys can make the playoffs.
Let me ask you this: if
playing.
Antonio Brown was on the 49ers this year, would they have made the playoffs?
Not this season, though. But I think this is a different scenario, because this is like the Bears were last year. At the beginning of the last season, people thought this would be a bottom tier team, and then they trade for Khalil Mack, and they went 11-5. So it could be the same with Antonio Brown. Who knows? But I don't know. But you can change a lot in an off season. So I'm just saying that it could blow up in their face. Absolutely. Could it not? Sure. Could they get a playoff spot? Maybe at 9-7 and make a wild card spot. Who knows? But I'm just going to go back to Antonio Brown campaigning to play on one team when that's very unrealistic that it happens is like kind of, I think it's a little bit silly. Like the guy is silly.
There are other teams out there that he can play for that have better situations and might have better assets. Like there just is. So it's like,
and I agree with you. He can, if he goes to Indianapolis, that's a Super Bowl contender.
And
regardless.
for him to, if he does want to play for the 49ers, he's making it harder for the 49ers to get him with his actions. He's making it harder for them. He's making it where the price will be higher for them. Sears Beck, you really want this guy? Pay up.
But it's not like the Niners are posting all this stuff. It's Antonio.
No, I'm saying him.
I know.
I'm talking about him. I'm saying if he really wants to go there, why is he making it harder for the team that he wants to go to get him? He's making it harder. Like, that's the thing. Like, he is making it more difficult for the 49ers to acquire Antonio Brown because they'll say, look, 49ers, we'll take your first-round pick this year and next year. You don't want it? Okay, well, he'll stay with us.
Yeah. Well,
he's ruining the leverage is what I'm saying. So,
and we honestly have no idea whether he probably will stay with Pittsburgh, but like in Vegas,
I think so.
Like we were talking about in Vegas betting, they had a favorite of who was going to get Antonio Brown for next season. The 49ers were actually the favorites. So who knows what's going to go down by next season, because we still have a long way to go before September.
Absolutely. It's going to be a long
We got 8 months.
I'll tell you right now, the Antonio Brown stuff is more interesting than a lot of other stuff like the Pro Bowl, to be honest with you.
I would rather watch Antonio Brown talk about what team he wants to be on than that Pro Bowl. You know when like LeBron James had the decision? Can we have Antonio Brown like the suggestion?
I have another idea.
Oh, the suggestion.
I have another idea. How about Derek Carr versus Stephen A. Smith in the Octagon?
Not watching that. Don't care.
You'd watch it.
I have no opinion of Derek Carr, and I have no opinion of
ESPN Plus
Smith.
would get a lot of people using their free trial.
I'm already trialing Amazon, and I'm already trialing some other things. I can't really add another subscription.
But you'd watch it.
I would watch highlights. I wouldn't watch it live. Honestly, I think it's more. It's like, do I really want to see two inexperienced fighters fighting? I'd rather watch experienced fighters fighting. Like, I'd rather have a good competitive fight rather than just guys throwing punches. And they wouldn't be, like, technical punches either. They would just be flailing their arms around.
You don't know that.
No, I know it. It's, yeah. Because Stephen A. Smith is,
okay.
Yeah, Derek Carr, and yeah.
Okay.
I'm no way.
All right.
No way, shape, or form am I going to trust this to be a good fight if it actually happens.
They're not gonna fight.
I know they're not going to fight, but if it did happen, it would be the stupidest fight in history, in my opinion.
Possibly, which would be a novelty.
Yes, because we've seen some stupid fights in the past with this
like
kind
McGregor, Mayweather.
Well, yeah, yes and no on that one because of the fact.
Everybody knew that fight was going to be dumb.
Yeah,
and they still bought it.
But both are fighters. Both are professional athletes. You know what I'm saying? Like Derek Carr is a professional athlete, sure, but Stephen A. Smith is not. So it's not very fair on one end or the other. And Stephen A. Smith was apparently the favorite, which makes no sense to me.
Stephen A. Smith is also a lot older than Derek Carr, which makes it even more ridiculous.
Like, if it's like between the McGregor Mayweather fight, McGregor, one of his in MMA, his best thing is his punches. So it's not like he was like someone so out of his depth. He was familiar with boxing.
Yeah, but that's a different sport.
Yeah.
Like that's
I agree. I'm just saying that I feel like that's way different than two guys who are not actual professional fighters.
It was like what a college team would look like against an NFL team.
Makes sense. But again, they're both professional fighters. I'm not going to watch a fight between two non-professional fighters. Unless it's like remember that Dana White, Tito Ortiz fight that almost happened? Like that would have been interesting.
You wouldn't watch a fight between two non-professional fighters?
I mean, it depends on who they are, but
it always depends on who it is, right? But you definitely watch a fight.
If it was like Roger Goodell versus an NFL lineman, I would watch it just to see the destruction that would probably happen.
What if it was Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning?
That's an interesting one. I'd rather watch them in the AFC title game again.
What if it was Kevin Durant
versus Russell Westbrook?
No. What if it was Ron Artest?
Oh my God.
Against
Ben Wallace.
Dennis Rodman.
How about Ben Wallace and him go at it one more time because they caused the malice at the Palace?
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman versus Kevin Durant would be a good.
All right, last question.
Okay.
Harden against Kawhi and the Raptors. Over 30?
Oh, Harden's points? Oh, because they're playing tonight. I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about them in a boxing fight.
ESPN Raptors Rockets. Over 30 for Harden. Continue the streak? Yes or no?
If Kawhi's playing tonight, which is not...
He is supposed to be playing.
But it's still not totally confirmed.
I'm sure he'll be playing, but...
If he's guarding Harden, I see like 25. I don't see 30. Kawhi's just too much of a
Harden
threat.
gets 40 tonight, Kawhi or not.
Wow, really? You no faith in Kawhi or too much faith in Harden?
Harden's going to shoot the ball like 50 times. He's going to score 40 points.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, he's shot the ball 30.
So he's going to shoot the ball so much that he's eventually going to get 40 regardless.
Yeah, he shoots the ball like 38 times a night and gets to the line like 15 to 16 times. He's going to have 40 points.
So it's just more of
Unless he gets hurt or something like that. Like something weird happens to Harden.
Let's not jinx him.
It's just volume, man. It doesn't mean that he's going to have a great game against Kawhi. He could score 50 points and have a terrible game. Like, it can happen.
Like 15 of 62.
He could be 15 of 45 or 40.
Honestly, if he one game shot 62 times, I wouldn't be surprised. Would you?
No.
Is that bad that you shoot
I mean,
that
yeah,
often?
I'd probably be surprised. That's a lot of shots. Like, if it was a non-overtime game, yeah, I'd be surprised.
But it's one of those things where, like, as a teammate of his, are you frustrated he's shooting that many times and not trusting you with the ball?
Mm-hmm.
I get that there's not a lot of talent on his side, but as a player, it's like, I want an opportunity to shine as well. This is a one-man show right now, and I would be a little frustrated if I'm a teammate of his. Because he's not being, a team player. He's helping them win games. Don't get me wrong, he's playing amazing. But
the most shots ever attempted in a game was 50.
Was it by Harden?
Kobe.
Not shocking to me at all, actually. But let me ask you this. Do you see Harden breaking that?
James Harden is not even in the top 20.
Wait, really?
But there is a current NBA player.
Didn't he shoot 45 times at one point?
No. I think 38 was his high.
Okay. Who's else is on this list?
There's one current NBA player that's on this list. He's on it 3 times.
Current NBA player? Is he a Warrior?
No.
Westbrook?
Yes.
Really?
3 times.
This is after Durant left?
The most Harden's ever shot in a single game is 38, and that was 3 days ago.
So do you see him getting 50 this season?
Westbrook has shot the ball 44 times in a game, 43 times in a game, 40 times in a game, 39 times in a game.
Was this with Durant or without Durant?
I actually lied. There are... Oh, my gosh.
What?
There are 1, 2, 3, 4 current NBA players who have taken more shots in a game than James Harden.
Really? Okay, so we have Westbrook.
Uh-huh.
Do we have Curry on there?
No
Okay.
other player is an all-star this year.
Wait, what?
No other player is an all-star this year. Maybe one could be, but it won't. He's
DeRozan?
We don't know the reserves for the all-star, so I'm not going to say none of these guys are going to make it, but only one probably has a chance. The other two, definitely not.
Lillard?
No.
I'm not even
Dwayne Wade is the one
Oh, that makes sense.
who could make it. He shot 39 times once in 2009.
Okay.
The other two, one plays for a bad team. One plays.
Am I even going to get them right?
One is Devin Booker.
Oh, that makes sense.
He had 40 in a game. Zach Randolph is the other.
Zach? Wait, really? Zach Randolph? I mean, he's not even really a Kurt. He hasn't played a game this season.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Has he even been on the bench?
He's a current player. I'm just.
He is under
reporting the
contract,
facts.
technically, but interesting. How many times did he shoot?
40 in one game.
Jeez.
He shot 40 times in 2007 against Portland.
Wasn't that his former team at that time?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
He got drafted by Portland, correct?
Sounds right. Anyways, that's our show.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Please tune us in on Monday. We will have outcomes of crucial games tonight and this weekend, as well as the Pro Bowl. The exciting Pro Bowl. Who's going home with the Pro Bowl trophy? Is there even a trophy?
Does anyone care? There's some great basketball games on this weekend, though. Check those out.
Yeah, but football.
All right.
All right, we'll see you. We'll see you on Monday.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.